What's Gucci and the Coochie, y'all? So it's been a minute since I've actually showed my face, but this video is necessary that I show my face. So next week, I believe next Thursday, we have the Video Game Awards. There is a very high chance that we're going to see the next NRS game at the Video Game. Now the question is, what exactly that game going to be? So there's been three big rumors for the next NRS game, right? We heard first that they were most likely working on a Marvel game. Then we heard that they were working on MK12. And then obviously Injustice 3 is chronologically the game that they should be working on, right? I just want to give my thoughts. I want to give my thoughts about what I would want from each game and which game do I think is very likely. So I'll start with what I think is less likely and then work my way up to what I think is the most likely game that we're going to get. So I'm going to start at the bottom with the less likely, and I don't believe we're going to get a Marvel fighting game. I just don't see that happening. Is it possible? Anything is possible. But I don't see us actually getting this Marvel fighting game. I just don't see that likely. I can see in the future that could be something that NRS is going to work on, maybe a few years now. Because my assumption with Injustice 3 is that Injustice 3 is probably the last Injustice game we're going to get. I think Injustice 3 is going to wrap up the current Injustice saga. And then I think NRS might take a break from Injustice. At least that's how ideally I would want them to do. I think 3 Injustice games is enough. I would want to see them, obviously Mortal Kombat is a mainstay. Mortal Kombat isn't going anywhere. But I think 3 Injustice games, I think that they can take a break after that. I would be fine not seeing Injustice for a minute. So after that, it would be, okay, well, if they're not making Injustice, then what are they going to make? And then I think that's when that Marvel fighting game would kind of come into play, where they're alternating between Mortal Kombat and that Marvel game. I don't believe we'll see that this year. I just don't think that's likely at all. I can't even say what I would exactly want from that game. Because to me, in my head right now, that's such a far-fetched idea. If they were to do it, I would want it to play very differently from Injustice. And I'll get to what I want from Injustice gameplay wise when we talk about what's likely. Next on the list is Mortal Kombat 12. I think I would give Mortal Kombat 12, if I had to give it a percentage, I would give it a 50% chance of happening. The mindset behind them making Mortal Kombat 12, according to news outlets, is that they want to make a game because they don't know if they're going to be sold or not. Apparently, I don't think they're going to be sold. They don't know if they're going to be sold or not. About Warner Brothers, earlier this year it was like Warner Brothers was trying to sell a bunch of their game studios. That never actually happened. I don't know if they're still trying to do that. People don't understand when companies are trying to sell video game studios, that's not something they just wake up and do, right? That is something that they have had in the works for years, right? Selling game companies is not as easy as it sounds. You don't just wake up and be like, I would love to sell NRS. I would love to sell all these. That's not how that works. It takes time. Those deals are usually made years in advance. I don't see them separating from Warner Brothers anytime soon. So I get the rumor part of that, but I don't know. I don't feel like they're going to go directly into MK12. Another thing that kind of has people believing this is next year is actually Mortal Kombat's 30th anniversary. So there is a possibility that for the 30th anniversary we get MK12. Here's what I think is going to happen, right? I don't think we're going to get MK12. Like I said, I give it a 50% chance of it happening. I think we're going to get some sort of MK collection, right? Whether that be like an HD collection for MK1, 2, and 3. I either think we're going to get an HD collection for Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, or MK9 is going to get rollback netcode. Those are the two things that I think could happen for Mortal Kombat's 30th anniversary. I don't believe we're going to get Mortal Kombat 12. I think we're either going to get that HD collection release for 1, 2, and 3, or they're going to possibly add rollback netcode to MK9. I'd be fine with either of those. MK9 is a game that I played a lot offline. Didn't play too much of MK9 online because it was god awful. So the possibility that we can play the fucking nutty ass MK9 is broken as shit. Broken ass MK9 online with great netcode. I mean, I'd be down for that. I'd be down for sitting down and learning how to play MK9 again. So, but I think the HD collection might be a little more likely than MK9 getting rolled back. I can see us getting a HD re-release of MK1, 2, and Ultimate. I think that's more likely. I can definitely see that happening. I can see MK9 getting rolled back netcode too, but I think it's extremely more likely that we'll get a HD release of Mortal Kombat 1, 2. Now, talking about MK12 in general, if we happen to get MK12, and we'll know next week, right? Unless NRS just doesn't show shit and we don't know nothing. But it's very likely they're going to show. So, if we get MK12, I want to see a gameplay overhaul. MK11 is good at what it does. I do enjoy aspects of MK11. I think the gameplay, for me, the defensive mechanics is where it really falls off. I think Breakaway is an awful system. I don't like wake up rolls. I don't like the wake up, I don't like that aspect of MK11. The gameplay itself kind of grew on me as time went on, the slow pace, footsie, grounded, neutral gameplay grew on me in the long run. I still can't say I prefer it over the faster rush down in your face type of MKs, but I would like to see them get a bit more crazy. The thing I'll say about MK11 feels really safe, which is strange to say about an MK-like game. It feels safe, right? A lot of your options are pretty limited. I think we should just at this point, get rid of the variation system. I don't know. People variations. I'm tired of picking. Just give me all the moves, whatever. I know technically the variations equal they have more moves than you would have in a standard move list, which is whatever. But I think the variation system probably needs to. Or if you're gonna bring, I actually prefer the variation system in MKX more than I prefer the MK11, which is not a popular opinion because people like the ability to choose their moves. But I don't know. I just prefer the MKX system a little bit more for me. Just the 3 presets. I know the issue with that was that some were just super underused. But I think that made it a little more fun for me because I'm okay, I can go learn this variation that nobody uses. So I feel like MK11 was really safe. I want to see them kind of do go out and do some crazier. I ain't gonna say super crazy shit, but I would like them to go out and kind of switch it up a little bit. You can argue that the jump from MKX to MK11 was not really safe because it went from super in your face, heavy ass fucking rush now to slow pace, neutral heavy gameplay. But when I say safe, I mean the aspect of I feel like the creativity part is pretty safe. You can't do super crazy shit in MK11 because I feel like the breakaway system makes it so you kind of can't. Crazy shit in MK11 is super situational. Fatal blows. I understand why fatal blows are in the game. I actually think fatal blows should stay because they're more. You will use fatal blows are used extremely X-rays were never used because it was a waste of your resources. Bring back the meter bar. Bring back the breakers. Breakers were perfect. I'm not sure why they decided to do. Bring back breakers. Bring back fatal blows. Crushing blows can stay. Those or whatever. Just change some of the requirements were really weird. Brutality should come back. They should be more like MKXs where they were easier to end your like combo with. Get rid of the stupid slowdown on the fatality screen. I hate it so much. Characters or whatever for me, I'm sure I'll find a character that I like in MK12. Story mode, I like the MK11 story mode, so that doesn't bother me. My biggest thing was the defensive options. Do not make it super hard to get all these fucking cosmetics. And if you're gonna do that, allow people to spend coins on buying specific gear items, or I say gear like I'm playing Injustice. Specific like costume items and shit and brutalities, and let people buy that shit with coins. Fuck it, okay? Let people do that. I have like 10 billion coins in fucking Mortal Kombat 11. I can't spend them on anything. Just fucking bought everything. So, yeah, that's ideally what I would want to see at MK12. 50% chance we see that. 50. Now, what I think is most likely and what we will probably get is Injustice 3. I would give Injustice 3 like an 80 to 90% chance of getting shown. I think it's very likely we're going to see Injustice 3. I know the reports are saying MK12, but my mind and my heart is telling me that it's probably going to be Injustice 3. Now, Injustice is in a weird spot for me, right? I believe that Injustice has the best NRS story. Like, Injustice stories are like way better than MK, like X's and 11s. The Injustice story mode is probably like my favorite DC like fucking story ever. I like the take on it. I like it. It's fucking great. My problem with I would say in Injustice 3, there's a few things I want to see change, right? Obviously, the big one. Give me Static Shock. Boy, you know, I'm just playing, but I do want Static Shock. That's not a fucking joke. Like, I'm serious. NRS. All the black folks want Static Shock. Give us young Virgil, too. We don't want that old-ass Virgil. Give us young, fucking, riding on a fucking top of a garbage can shit-ass Virgil that we grew up watching. All black people want Static Shock. Black people love Static Shock. That's the black people hero. Okay, I know Black Panther been on the rise and shit, but let's not forget the origins. We've been fucking with Static for a long time. That's our boy. Put his black ass in the game. Give him long dreads too. If you want to give him a skin for old Static, I wouldn't be mad about it. Okay, you put Raiden and Black Lightning, you better put Static, and he better be in base roster. I don't want to see no DLC shit. I want to see his little black ass on a fucking character select screen. He better be in fucking base roster. Okay? Do not charge me money to play a Static Shock. I'll buy it. I ain't gonna lie. You gonna get me. Okay? I'll fucking play. I'll pay for that shit. But please put Static Shock in the fucking base game. I don't care if he's not part of the fucking story. You put his black ass in the game and you do it. Okay? Outside of Static Shock, obviously. Beast Boy too. Okay, characters, that's a whole different ballpark, right? That's a whole fucking different thing, okay? Injustice to me, Injustice 2 had two big problems for me, right? I felt like the gear system was so Injustice 2 started the really grindy fucking like unlock system for the shit. Like the RNG, I hate that, right? Here's the thing, right? The MK11 and MK and Injustice, NRS in general, needs to adjust how you actually get these collectibles. I don't mind them keeping the grinding aspect of getting these items. But in Injustice, it was like you were grinding for RNG. You were grinding for these boxes with the possibility of getting this item. Now, MK11 kind of did a tiny bit better because you could see it in the towers, but at the same time, the towers were fucking random. The towers changed. So you were waiting like weeks for this, like maybe this like helmet that you wanted, or if you wanted like maskless Melina, like you were waiting a large amount of time just for that shit to appear in the tower. And Injustice 2 had the same problem with the fucking boxes, where you're like, I really want this helmet, I really want this fucking chest plate, I really want this like Black Canary like fucking eye thing. I have to randomly get it in a fucking box. I hate that. Change that, okay? If you can leave the grindy aspect there, do it similar to like FPSs do it, right? You do this challenge a certain amount of time, right? You do this challenge a certain amount of time and you're able to unlock this item, right? Like maybe if you get like, if you're playing like fucking Superman, you need to do like 20 laser blasts and you get this costume and you can see the costume and you can work towards it. Also, if you have the ability, give people the ability to use their in-game currency to not just buy the fucking boxes, okay? If I have a bunch of in-game currency, please allow me to buy specific cosmetics. I don't care if you charge people, if you charge us like, I ain't gonna say I don't care. Charge us a reasonable price. Like, I don't expect like some super rare ass fucking Batman outfit to be like 50 fucking gold, okay? Charge us a shit ton. Charge us 100,000, 200,000 gold, okay? And let us work towards that, right? Give us an end destination. I don't like grinding towards something and I don't know what the fucking end destination is, right? I'm like, I want this costume, but now I have to open a billion fucking random loot boxes. Stop that. This is an awful system. It's not good, okay? So Injustice 3, I really want to see that shit change. I want to see a more honest unlock system. I get why they're doing it. They want the game to be super grindy, but Injustice 2 has been out since fucking what, 2017 or some shit like that. 2016, 2017, and I still don't have all of the cosmetics for a single fucking character. That is insane. That doesn't make any sense to me. So they should adjust that system. I think that system could be better. Gameplay wise, I'm gonna be honest here. I don't expect Injustice to change much gameplay wise. I think it's gonna be similar to Injustice 2. I don't think the jump from Injustice 2 to 3 is going to be the same before Injustice 1 and 2. Like, the jump from Injustice 1 and 2, a lot of the characters' movesets stayed the same, right? They did a lot of the same shit. And then the jump for Injustice 2 and for the jump for Injustice 2 and 3, I think they're going to overhaul a lot of characters. I think every character is going to get an overhaul from Injustice 2 and 3. I think Batman, Superman, those characters you knew from being like this, like the same, are gonna change. I don't think they're gonna make them the same 3 fucking games in a row. I just don't see that happening. I think all the characters are gonna get a big overhaul. I also don't want to see them tie moves behind cosmetics. I thought that was weird too. Like how certain moves were tied behind like cosplay. That was weird. I think we're gonna see a big like moveset overhaul, but I don't think the gameplay is going to change much in Injustice. I think they might shrink the camera a little bit, like they might zoom in a little more on the camera so the screen size isn't like fucking ginormous, which will help with zoning so you don't have to fucking rush like a mile across the screen. But I think fundamentally the gameplay won't change much in it. I think Injustice is just that. I'd be pleasantly surprised. Like MK, I think has a little more range to change shit. There's 12 fucking MK games. And you argue like the jump from MK2 to MK3 was fucking drastic. So is it possible that they completely overhaul the gameplay? Absolutely. Do I think they will? Probably not. So that's basically what I want from Injustice. Realistically, would I like to see some gameplay changes? Yes, I would like to see the screen get more zoomed in so it takes away from some of the zoning. I would like to see less strong zoning options in the game. Obviously, you're going to have zoners. Zoners are a part of fighting games. I understand that. I'm not a fucking idiot. Zoners are a part of fighting games. You will have zoners. You will have to get good and deal with that. That is what it is. But I don't want to see Injustice so like screen control heavy in Injustice 3. So hopefully they adjust that aspect of the game. But Either way, I'm excited. I think we're going to get a combination of Injustice 3 and maybe the HD Mortal Kombat collection. I don't think they're going to show the HD Mortal Kombat collection until like next year. Probably like at fucking E3 or some shit like that. But I think Injustice is going to get shown next week. I think it's highly likely that it's Injustice. So, well, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Which game do you think is going to get shown next week? Which game would you prefer? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. As always, motherfuckers, pass class, don't eat ass. I'm out this bitch.